Hello, everyone, and welcome to this wealthmanagement.com Fast Chat. I'm David Armstrong, the Executive Director of Content here at Informa Connect's Wealth Management Group. And today I'm pleased to be speaking to Leslie Tabor, who is a Director with the Business Consulting Services at Schwab Advisor Services. Leslie, thanks very much for joining us.
I appreciate it, David. Thanks for having me.
So today we're going to talk about one of the topics that I think is most important to RIAs out there right now, and that's talent. From the benchmarking studies that you all do at Schwab, as well as others, we know that talent is the number one pain point for many growing RIAs. Can you tell me about what trends you're seeing in the RIA ecosystem out there, and what firms are doing to become more involved in the acquisition of talent or the search for talent?
Yeah, happy to. So there are a couple of trends that we're going to continue seeing. I think the very first one, probably obvious to many of the listeners out there, is that we're still in a tight labor market, right? The Bureau of Labor Statistics actually published back in February that there are 1.4 jobs available out there for each candidate, right? So no surprising that RIAs continue to prioritize recruiting talent as the number one concern for them, right? In addition to developing existing talent, which has actually increased in terms of prioritization for many RIA firms. And I wonder if, David, if that's not in reaction to the tight labor market. I mean, I absolutely love that firms are investing time and resources in developing their talent in-house to move through the career paths that are available at their firms. I think there's so many benefits to this. If you think about it, higher engagement likely with your workforce. They're committed to staying, right? You're committed to them. They're committed to staying at the firm. You're building in succession planning if you're navigating them through a career path, and that institutional knowledge, right, that your workforce then builds and gains are all benefits that come out of this.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of in addition to internal career pathing, a lot of attention being paid to next generation talent. What trends are you seeing there?
Yeah, so I was doing some research, and McKinsey actually published some study that outlined that the factors that individuals that attract individuals to new roles and actually cause them to leave roles, those factors actually aren't different across generations. They're more similar than they're different, right? If anything, the way that generations prioritize that list is probably going to be different. So what's on that list? Of course, compensation's on that list. The opportunity to develop and grow in a career is on that list. Meaningful work, leadership, performance expectations, workplace flexibility, right? So those are all the things that are potentially on this list. It's just that the next generation, Gen Z, they prioritize that list a little differently. And what's on the top of that list is career development and growth. No surprise, right? If you think about it, the oldest of the Gen Z is probably 2 or 3 years into their careers. And David, if I think back to when I started my career, what I was hungry for is to understand, how can I move in this company, right? And in what ways can I grow my career? So of course, we're seeing the same with Gen Z, that opportunity for career development and growth. And the second thing that actually they consider as they're looking for new roles is the opportunity to do meaningful work. So those are probably the two trends I'm seeing most particular to the upcoming generation of talent entering the workforce.
And are you seeing any ways that the RIAs that are being successful at that, what are they doing differently? What are they doing to support that next generation and their priorities? Yeah,
a couple of things I think firms can really lean into and have leaned into to really attract that next generation of talent. The first is keep doing what you're doing, right? I mentioned that this exercise of investing time and resources into developing your employees is something that firms are starting to do more of. It's creeped up in terms of their prioritization of that. So keep leaning into that, potentially doubling down on that opportunity to develop existing talent. The other thing is documented career paths, right? So we know from our benchmarking study that 75% of firms have a documented career path. That is evidence to this next generation talent, and even to talent that might be career changers or anyone looking to enter your firm. That is a demonstration of the opportunity to develop into a role and into roles beyond that, right? There is another exercise actually that I've learned from firms. I attended a webinar earlier this week, David, and some things someone said really resonated with me, and that is never stop recruiting your existing talent, right? I hadn't heard it phrased that way, and I loved it. It's a play on retention, essentially. But I love that this concept of recruiting your existing talent, I think, is a mindset that firms can adopt. If you think about it, talent represents almost 3/4 of a firm's expenses, right? So naturally, we want to invest in our largest investment. And the way that firms are leaning into this mindset of recruiting existing talent, many firms I know conduct stay interviews, right? No, we know about interviews to recruit new talent. Stay interviews recruit existing talent, right? It's the opportunity to really learn more about your existing employees, really understand, hey, what keeps them committed to your firm, as well as what are the scenarios or experiences that might cause them to consider leaving, right? So those are a couple of the things that I hear firms really leaning into to really attract and retain talent, particularly the next generation of talent.
There's also the issue, I think, that firms come across of trying to find pools of talent that maybe aren't aware of careers in this industry, particularly in the wealth management industry and the RIA side. What are some ways that some firms are? What are they doing to reach some more new or more diverse talent pools and bring them into the fold?
Yeah, I think the biggest opportunity for that is going to be having roles at your firm where you're accepting essentially entry-level talent, right? So really connecting with those colleges and universities, not just in your community, but across the country, right? We know that the next generation is naturally more diverse, and the generation after them will be more diverse. Our benchmarking study showed that 37% of RIAs recruited from colleges and universities last year, and that's the largest or the highest number we've seen in the 18-year history of our benchmarking study. And just to kind of hone in on that a little bit more. So at Schwab, we have our annual RIA Talent Advantage Scholarship. And since we launched this back in 2021, we've had 2,000 applications from about over almost 250 schools. And of those applicants, 45% of them identified as female, and 59% of the applicants identified as racially diverse. So I think that just brings home the point that this next generation who would be coming in as entry-level talent to your firm is naturally more diverse. And that's going to be your biggest bet for a wide pipeline of diverse new talent to your firm.
That's great. Anything else that Schwab has on the horizon, or any news related to the next generation of talent that you care to share with the audience?
Yeah, tons. But I'll keep it short. So as you might know, we are going to be in San Francisco, my hometown here, later this year. And David, I'm sure I'll see you there. It'll be wonderful to connect in person. So Impact is an opportunity for us to create that awareness you were talking about with the next generation of talent. And for the past, 15, 16 years, we've hosted almost 100 students to attend Impact. And we don't have a separate track for students. We want them sitting side by side with advisors, learning about the industry, strengthening their awareness about the possibility of a career in this profession. So that's coming up later this year. I mentioned our scholarship program. We are going to announce our 4th set of winners in August. And that is, again, another opportunity to connect advisors with talent that is pursuing careers in this industry. And then we have a university grant program that is in partnership with the Schwab Foundation. It funds our scholarship program, but we also work directly with schools to help stand up financial planning programs. Over the past 12 years now, we've given over $23 million to colleges and universities across the country. Later this year, we have a ribbon cutting with Howard University, where we have partnered with them to support their efforts to continue their programming for students that are interested in financial planning and a career in the RIA industry. So those are three things that we've got coming down the pipeline, David, for the industry, for our clients.
Well, that's fantastic, Leslie. I think this is a conversation that's going to keep going for a while, until this talent shortage problem is sorted out. Leslie, thanks very much for joining us, and I do look forward to seeing you at Impact. And thanks for joining us on this wealthmanagement.com Fast Chat.
You got it. Thanks so much, David. Take care.